Hello, and welcome to the latest Picks and Ponderings video preview. I'm Nicole Newlist, and I'm here with Paul Major. You can find us both at Picks Ponderings on Twitter, as well as on the Picks and Ponderings blog on Chicago Now. You can find me tweeting as myself at Road Clown on Twitter. You can find Paul at Hey Laserbeam. We're always around and always love to talk horse racing. This video preview is going to take a look at the Pat Whitworth, Illinois Debutante. It's a mile and a 16th on the dirt at Hawthorne, and it's restricted to Illinois-bred two-year-old races, or two-year-old fillies. It's race number 7 on Hawthorne's card this coming Saturday. The race is named after Patricia, or Pat Whitworth. She served for a long time as an executive board member of the Illinois Thoroughbred Owners and Breeders Foundation. This race has actually produced a couple of graded stakes winners. It's had a pretty good track record among Illinois bred stakes. You have Rolling C, who won it in 2005 and won a couple of grade 2 races after winning this. And then also My Option, who won in 2012 and won a couple of grade 3s, including last year's Chicago Handicap at Arlington. This year's Pat Whitworth, Illinois Debutante, it drew a field of 10 horses, and pretty interesting because you've got a few horses who have been proven against tougher company, which is to say winners, and you've got a slew of maidens here too, trying to find their way, maybe trying to find some maturity or some dirt route prowess. Paul?
The last thing you said in this is dirt route prowess. And that gets me to, and for me in the Whitworth Debutante, it allows me to zero in on one horse in particular. I'm interested to see what Nicole thinks of number 7, Discreet Charm. 4-1 on the morning line, and Chris Amy will ride for Mike Campbell. This one goes first time dirt. Two back this one graduated at first asking at Arlington in a maiden race, and last time was third going a 2-turn turf mile at Hawthorne. This one tries the dirt the first time, and that dirt pedigree by Discreetly Mine out of a UNI mare is dirt over dirt. And we're trying dirt for the first time. I mean, we bounce back and forth in these circuits, Nicole, from Arlington to Hawthorne and back to Hawthorne again, and yet sometimes we get an angle, and sometimes we have an angle that we play early in the meet, which is surface off. You know, you've been running at Arlington for so long on the poly, and you just tread water on it. And then you get to dirt and your form wakes up. I think Discreet Charm's form wakes up. I think Discreet Charm wakes up on the dirt and moves forward off of his graduation and his placing on the turf. 4-1 on the morning line, and I'm 4-1 on the morning line, and I don't think he's the checkmark winner the commissioner was last week. I like him a lot in this spot.
I'm definitely not as enthusiastic about Discreet Charm. Discreet Charm was kind of my definitely not a long enough shot to be a long shot, but the last one out of my top 3. I don't love the fact that it's been a while since Discreet Charm has posted a work, and although she could wake up on the dirt, there are a few others who I like better here. On top, I actually go to the far outside, and I like the number 10. That's Silver Load. Silver Load has actually gone longer on dirt than this race. Not that much longer. She hasn't gone some kind of 2-year-old marathon distance or anything goofball like that. But last out, she did try a mile and a 16th allowance at Keeneland. She finished 4th in a field of 5, but she's a dyed-in-the-wool off-pace type and didn't have the most to run at that day. Here she comes to Hawthorne. She's going to be running against a field that includes some maidens, some stretch-out types. She should have more to run at and should turn in a better performance second time at a route. She does have some class back in her form lines. She finished second in the Arlington, Washington Lassie 3 starts back, and was also second on the dirt in an allowance at Indiana Grand, going 6 furlongs. I think I'm going to give her another shot at the route because the bigger field, she's going to have more to run at, and there is a little routing underneath. You know, Cashel Castle on top can be a bit of a coin flip going 2 turns. But underneath, she's out of a mare named Shotgun Persuasion. And you might know Shotgun Persuasion from such always hits the board at bomb odds in Illinois bred stakes horses as Prado U. Prado U does his best work at 2 turns. I'm willing to give this half to Prado U another shot going 2 turns as well.
I don't think we're going to get along in this race because Silverload is nowhere in my top 3. Sorry. This isn't just sometimes handicapping. One person looks at a race one way and sees one thing. One person looks at a race another way and sees another thing. And I think this is going to be a race where, and as sometimes is the case in these Illinois bred 2-year-old stakes where you get such a grab bag of maidens and A other than eligibles, I have a feeling your top 3, my top 3 might be completely different. So let's see. Well, neither of us agree on the winner. Well, you mentioned about going a second time. You mentioned second time route, and I actually go to the second time route perspective with the number 2, Silver Kitty. Julio Felix is the call for Wayne Catalano. If Wayne Catalano's still up here at Hawthorne, something is amiss. Typically, Wayne Catalano has taken off for Fairgrounds at this point. But he sees it fit to keep this Illinois bred up here in this $50,000 Illinois bred stakes, the Whitworth Debutante. Last time at a route, Silver Kitty won a maiden 25 claimer, going a mile and 70. So there's an eensy-weensy, teeny-weeny bit of stretch out there, going a mile and 70 to the full mile and a 16th. She tracked off of a slow pace, an even slower pace for mile and 70. They went 50 and change. They went 50 to the half, 115 and change, and that wasn't one of those short field types that go all the way on the front end, because this one rated it. This one had a good spot at the rail, tucked in, saved the ground, made it in, and made that classic Hawthorne inside-outside move, and got up and got the graduation picture. Yes, you could have had this one in a maiden 25, but this one bounced over. But this one during the summer, Arlington bounced between maiden special and maiden claiming, and yes, between maiden special and state bred maiden special. Yes, this one dropped into maidens claiming. It's the biggest drop in racing, and the public knew it, and she went off a 3 to 5. But this one has potential. This one's got the potential for 2 turns, with being by Northern Fleet out of a high yield mare. High yield had some good work as an early 3, and Northern Fleet is, we kind of look at as a distant sire through a Fleet Alex. So with this Illinois bred, I'm thinking this one's in form. It's going sort of a sprint route. It's got a sprint route progression, especially with another route start under her, and with all the stretch outs and all the speed. This one actually showed rating gear. Sometimes 2-year-olds forget how to rate, and this one has been taught how to rate last time by Julio Felix, who's got the return call. I like Silver Kitty as a slotted for second in the Whitworth Debutante.
Well, so far, Paul, we're 2 for 2 in the ships passing in the night metric, because I don't have Silver Kitty anywhere either. Instead, for the second slot, I have first time route, and second off a little bit of a freshening, the number 6, Partey. These connections know a thing or two about doing well in Illinois bred stakes races. Owned and bred by Oziel Stable, trained by Carlos Silva. You might remember Oziel Stable from such horses as Rolling Sea, who won this race, Copper State, who won this race the next year. They do well in Illinois bred stakes, and they do well with their homebreds and 2-year-old Illinois bred stakes. That said, this is actually the first time that Partey is running against Illinois bred company. She broke her maiden at third asking out at Canterbury, and then faced the boys in the Shakopee Juvenile Stakes. Finished second, made a good account of herself. Took a little bit of a break, came back Breeders' Cup Saturday, and was second in the slop behind Go Lady J, who got to the front, did have some pressure, winged it, won nicely, but Partey did hold on well to be second. In that win that she had at Canterbury, I liked the fact that even though she sent to the front, she had some fight there, lost the lead, and still got it back. It shows she can maintain interest, a good thing to know that a 2-year-old knows. I'm also interested in this one stretching out to a route for the first time, being by Desert Party out of the Meadow Lake mare Blue Stem Meadow. That makes her have to Prairie Vista, another horse who has done her best work going 2 turns. So especially if there isn't a lot to send, because even though I think Silver Load will have some more pace to chase than she did in that 5-horse field, it's not necessarily guaranteed. It's a little bit more of an assumption based on how many are either maidens who could be playing around with their style or stretching out. If a horse on the front end succeeds, it's probably going to be Partey. And even if Partey doesn't get right up to the front, she's shown enough that she looks like she's going to stay interested.
We can agree on something. I have Partey slotted for third. Yes, I agree that Partey is maybe up against it from the perspective of being a stretch out here. This one hasn't gone past 6 furlongs, and yes, this one did graduate 3 back, tried open company in that $75,000 stakes, 2 back up into the Twin Cities. This one also goes second off the layoff, having appeared on a sloppy Breeders' Cup Saturday in a first level allowance at Hawthorne. Perhaps the slop didn't work. Perhaps the slop wasn't her thing, and she does deserve another chance on the dry. She does deserve another chance to go back to the form that she had at Canterbury, and she deserves the chance to go around 2 turns. Keep in mind the Aziel Silva team have done well, while at the route level, as you said, with Rolling Sea, they've done well at the sprint level with Smoke and Glock. So these are connections you can know and trust on the Illinois bred juvenile circuit. They've got something. When they've got something, they'll plug it into a stakes. She makes sense in here. I don't think she's the best win candidate, but if you're constructing any type of exacta, trifecta, superfecta wagering, you've got to put her in all the positions of the sequence. That's the 6, Partey.
And third, I go 1 to Partey's inside to the number 5, and that's Dundalk Bay. Dundalk Bay graduated last out. Her first 2 times were against maiden special weight state bred company. Pretty well beaten in her debut, although that said, she was 4th beaten 13. The winner, Prairie Chick, another Aziel stable production, and in fact a daughter of Smoking Glock, won by 11. So she wasn't too far out of second place in that first try. Switches to the dirt next out, finishes second behind Go Lady J, who turned around and won the allowance from which Partey comes, and then notched up to open Filly Maiden special weight the next out at Hawthorne and graduated. It was close. She had to fight for it, but she did it. Here, Dundalk Bay stretches out from 6 furlongs to the mile and a 16th. And Even though I have a few questions, like the distance breeding underneath is not the best, it's not crazy to think Majestic Warriors can get a mile and a 16th. And that mare has produced a winner going 2 turns. That alleviates my worries that I had about that underneath breeding because it shows it has been done. Dundalk Bay does get E.T. Baird back in the irons. E.T. Baird's been aboard for the last 2, both Hawthorne, riding well at Hawthorne, rides 2-year-olds well, and I'm glad to see him back. Furthermore, DePoulos' barn has been pretty hot lately. She's winning at a 23% clip so far this meet, and a lot of those wins have come recently. DePoulos does have 2 runners in here, and this will be the shorter priced, the A runner, if you will. But I like the fact that she's shown the ability to not have to go straight to the front. I like the ability that she's shown to fight for it like she did in her maiden win. And I'm going to be slotting Dundalk Bay third.
While you go to the Deep Polo stable for your pick for third, I go to the Deep Polo stable for my long shot to watch. I'm not picking the same one. I'm going to go to the rail and go to Lakota Rose. She drew the rail and she's 20 to 1 on the morning line. The sire side of the dam side of the pedigree may be a little iffy for 2 turns. Smoke Glockenage or Brood with Smoke Glockenage or Brood Marsar, but your paternal line for Prado and El Prado is A-OK for 2 turns. Lakota Rose has Carlos Montalvo to ride, and during the Hawthorne meet, Montalvo, when paired up with Depolos, have been a very solid combination. 4 of 9 in the win column, and then an additional podium finish. Lakota Rose is a maiden, and I know that's not an endearing statement in these races, but we've seen maidens do it. In fact, this is the same trainer that pulled a maiden shocker here with Lakota Dreamcatcher. Same owner, same trainer, and all. Maybe lightning strikes twice again, or maybe this is a case of I'll get you next time handicapping, thinking that you've won the battle once and you're going to try it again. But I'm trying it with a horse who goes back to who goes on a sprint, who goes second time route, and actually goes a route on dirt for the first time. I think it's that might be a little underrated here. This one's got a lot of closing speed and is going to get things to close into. It's sort of the same logic with Nicole's top choice. Get a closer who gets some pace. This one needed some pace and didn't really have any in the first started 2 turns back at Arlington on the turf. When they go 52, I don't care what the condition of the ground is, but there's very little pace when you're going 51-4 for the half at Arlington on the turf. Yeah, that was yielding ground that day, but that's still slow fractions. It's still slow fractions when you go 50 flat on the yielding ground. They're not going to go 50 or 50 plus for the half in this race. There's going to be something up front for Lakota Rose to chase, and she's got she based on a trainer that's been hot on the grounds, that's done it before at this level, and with the paternal breeding that says 2 turns, can easily get into the frame. Lakota Rose is my long shot to watch. Carlos Montalvo rides, and 20 to 1 is your morning line quote.
We're both looking to maidens for our long shots to watch here. Although, as has been kind of an ongoing theme during this video preview, I'm going a different direction, and that's the number 8, Holy Mochaccino. Holy Mochaccino is starting for the second time and stretching out to a route for the first time. She was 4th beaten 12 last out against State Bred Maiden Special Weight Company, but wasn't far out of 3rd that day. Probably needed to get that race under her, and also probably needs a little bit more distance. She's by Song the Prayer out of the Alaskan Frost mare Icy Mocha. 2 other Icy Mocha babies have raced. one of them Twisted Thoughts, who's a full brother, and one of them Mischief and Mayhem, who's a half by Yanaguska. Both of them did their best work going 2 turns, making it make a certain amount of sense that Holy Mochaccino might prefer 2 turns as well. It also jumps off the page that Tim Thornton has the call back on Holy Mochaccino, particularly because he rode several others in this race last out, both Partey and Diamondette, both of whom, by certain measures, look more live on paper, quote unquote, than Holy Mochaccino. The fact that Tim Thornton's been riding pretty well lately, rides well at Hawthorne in general, and out of those 3 being his last out mounts, he shows up on the 15-1 second-time starter, Holy Mochaccino. That speaks well to me. So for my long shot, I think Holy Mochaccino improves at a route. I think Tim Thornton gives her a good ride. And Holy Mochaccino at 15-1 on the morning line is my long shot to watch.
This looks like a wide open Whitworth, Nicole, and I'll be interested to see how it shakes out.
Oh, absolutely. I agree that it's wide open. It's not often that we are this far apart in where we land in a race, and there are very few who I don't think could at least fit the frame in this race. That said, on top, I'm going to the number 10, Silver Load. I also like the number 6, Partey, and the number 5, Dundalk Bay. Silver Load is 9-2 on the morning line. Partey is 7-2 on the morning line. Dundalk Bay, 5-1 on the morning line. For my long shot to watch, I go to the 8 hole and Holy Mochaccino at 15-1.
For me in the Whitworth, the 7th on Hawthorne's Saturday, December 5th program, I like the number 7, Discreet Charm, at 4-1 on the morning line. In second, I like the 2, Silver Kitty, at 6-1 on the morning line. And the only source of agreement between us is using Partey as in the underslots. I have Partey slotted 3rd, and she's 7-2 on the morning line. And my long shot is at the rail, the number 1, Lakota Rose, at 20-1 on the morning line. We've got video previews for the 9 stakes on the Claiming Crown Day. We decided on a divide and conquer approach. So check out our Claiming Crown Day previews as we take on the 9 Claiming Crown branded stakes on opening day at Gulfstream Park. Good luck from Picks and Ponderings.